everybody, you're tuned in at the right time because I'm with a great artist, the one and only Dax Mpire.
Peace,
One of the
peace.
one of the people who you may have kind of gone under the radar because for whatever reason, just in the underground doing his thing. But if you haven't heard of him, definitely check him out. He's worked with some amazing artists. And if you ever want credibility, you get it through amazing artists. Prodigy, Raekwon of Wu Tang. He's worked with Capone. He's worked with Styles P. Literally, the list goes on and on. You've also opened for 50 Cent as well. So, I mean, it's hard to really talk about you without giving you some props.
I appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? I definitely feel you. I definitely feel that I'm like right under the radar for a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I really do music because I love it. I don't really care for like credentials or like being like certified in people's eyes. Public opinion never really moved me. I just love music. But you know, in my journey, I always did things to the best of my ability, and whether it was networking, dot connecting, rapping, executive producing whole projects, and in that mission, you know, my goal was always to work with the best. You know what I'm saying? And the people that I grew up loving and learning from. You know what I'm saying? The rap greats. And I definitely feel like I was fortunate enough to make some of those things happen. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Prodigy. You know, he was an amazing artist, but he was a really good guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was a good guy. So I'm blessed that I was able to do a lot of these things, man. So,
Well, talk to me about the getting the props, because like everyone says that I want the props, but like I know deep down we all want to get the recognition. Like, you've done some really cool stuff, right? Like, you've done some really cool things that people in their careers would want to do. But is there still a part of you that's like, you know what, getting my flowers would be really good? Like, getting the recognition would be great.
I definitely would love to be respected by other great artists and more people for my craft. Yeah, I mean, nobody just, you know, part of, I think, hip hop and rap too is that competitiveness and everybody wanting to be the best. And if you're from New York, the king of New York and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely have that in me, but I kind of was someone that always was more a fan of kind of like the big picture and what the greater meaning was and all these things. And so, you know, I definitely wouldn't mind some flowers. But with my peers, I have that respect, and with guys that, you know, a lot of people look up to, they have respect for me. And for me, it's enough, man. You know what I'm saying? It feels good. Like, I don't make hip hop looking to make money. You know what I'm saying? I spend more money just recording and doing all the things you got to do to really create music than I've ever gotten back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I definitely do it out of love for sure. But, you know, it's cool to get your respect when you put that work in, though. You're right about that, for sure.
Well, I think you're a little less egocentric than I am, because I definitely am like, I love this and I'll still do this. And I've always said I'll still do this more. Like, I'll do this forever. I don't care if anyone listens to it. Well, I care, but like, you know what I mean? Like, talking to rappers is the best thing ever. And I always tell people, like, if I could go back to when I was a kid to think that I could be in a position where I can just talk to artists, like, I wouldn't think it was possible. So if no one listened, I honestly would just keep doing it because it's just cool to me. But at the same time, but at the same time, might as well get some credit, you know?
Nah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? It's nice when, you know, you get a nice article where they actually listen to the music and they really take the time to, what is this guy doing? You know what I'm saying? I see he's around people, I see he's in the mix, but do you really, like Jay-Z said it, do you listen or do you just skim through it? Like, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people, they get so caught up in the social media aspect of artistry now that they don't even really dig into the music like that. And once they see, oh my God, this is popular, I'm just gonna like zone in on everything that's this, and they forget to dig. Hip hop is so diverse and so fucking broad. Every fucking continent, every city, every state. Like, there's a lot of great stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? And literally, you know, needle in a haystack, most great artists are overlooked. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's definitely a crazy game. I feel you on that for sure.
Well, I do agree though that part of hip hop is digging. That, you know, and it's different because like in the digital era, you dig differently to when you were digging 20 years ago. So like,
Yeah.
but you still got to dig. And so I always tell people that like the thing about hip hop is you like a track, you got to find out who the producer is, you got to find out who the features were, and you really try and find their other shit. So if you like the sound, find the producer or find the sound engineer and find out what else they were working on. And that's how you find other artists. That's how you really build a catalog of music that you like rather than a catalog of music that's, like you say, popular. It might be popular at the same time, but that's how you do it.
I think that was a good thing that you said too. A key word being catalog. You know what I'm saying? I tell a lot of people sometimes don't sit on the music. Drop it. You know what I'm saying? Let it fly. And nothing worse than keeping a record all the way in the tuck forever and never letting it see the light of day for no reason apparently. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely one of those things where that catalog really can turn you on to a lot of new fans. You know what I'm saying? They might hear that one thing and then, oh shit, you don't have any other music out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh fuck, he doesn't even have nothing else. But when you have a catalog, and that's one thing, I definitely dropped a lot of music in the last 2 years. I started to see the traction was better the more I dropped. You know what I'm saying? People were digging more, and I was getting more new fans and more people that were really checking for the music and really listening. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that catalog is important, man. It's definitely important. I recommend build your catalog. All artists, all new up and coming artists, don't pay too much attention to whatever anybody else is saying. Drop that music, man. Drop that music.
Yeah, I think the challenge for young artists is that they drop singles to begin with. But it's like, if you dropped one single and I love it and that's all you got, I'm like, well, then what else? I ain't got anything else. Like I might be keen for the second single, but if I have to wait 12 months before a second single drops, I'm going to be like, well, you know, are you really into it?
Right? Yeah, you're right. And I think that's that big machine label type of mentality. You know, they're always looking for the hit single, you know, the one hit wonder where they can, you know, monetize off a big record worldwide, and then, you know, fuck it if he has anything else. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. Definitely right about that, man. You got a lot of sense, man. You know your music business, man.
Well, I got to say, I think there's some things that make sense to me as like, because I'm not a rapper myself, but there's things that I see that make good business sense. Like, you know, before I dropped the podcast, I recorded 10 episodes before I dropped any, and I released 3 at the same time because I was like, if you like the first, or you like one of them, I want to give you more content before I drop the following week. So I was like, I'm going to give you 3. So I'm always like, if I'm the artist or if I'm, you know, trying to sell it, I just think that you're better off giving a little bit too much than not enough, especially at the beginning. Like what I would do personally if I was an artist, I would come out with 2 singles and I'd drop them at the same time. And then I'd be saying that I got an album coming in the next couple of weeks. And so that's what I'm doing, building hype and heat. And you got a date for when the album drops. So like, so that you can have that story.
He's throwing down and letting them know that there's a main course coming down the line. Well done, man. And you got to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like music, hip hop, like you were right though. And I said I did music for the love. But obviously, you know, if I can recoup some of that bread, I will. You know what I'm saying? So it is a business. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have a plan or like a strategy or how you're going to roll these things out, because, you know, no matter what anybody says, it takes money to do this shit correctly. You know what I'm saying? Every major label, every company, every artist, there's all money for marketing and promotions and recording and features and production and this, that, and the third. So it's like, you know, a lot of times people don't take all those things into account. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that goes into this shit. And if you don't know your business side of the music, you just kind of waste the money. You know what I'm saying? At that point, you know what I'm saying? And definitely we don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I think they see the challenges, they see the greats and they drop their first album and it goes big. So what they're trying to do is like, oh, if I don't drop an album, it doesn't count. So I'm going to drop singles so that because it takes away the pressure. But realistically, they were all dropping EPs. They were all dropping EPs and they were all working on shit before their first studio album. Like that's what it is. It's their studio album, but they were all dropping shit. Like Biggie was working in the streets, 50 Cent was working in the streets. His first studio album was the one that blew off, but everything else up until that point, he had to hustle.
Yeah, for real. He had to hustle, pay out of pocket, you know what I'm saying? Like to get shit done. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the best success stories and examples of having to grind that shit out when everybody's fucking against you and finding a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then, you know, all that grind turned into the proper people respecting his hustle and then hearing what the fuck he was putting together. And then you get all these magnificent ingredients like Dr. Dre and Eminem and, you know, a humongous budget. And then you have magic, you know what I'm saying? So he definitely brought 90% of it to the table. And then there was the things that came to whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, you know, there's a lot going on, man. It's a lot going on.
Well, how was it touring with him? Because he's very much like this figure in hip hop where it's like he's bigger than life. He says it how it is. He's got this image that he's like very direct. He doesn't pull any punches. He's a perfectionist. Did you experience that when you were touring with him?
I never toured with him, but we did shows locally here in New York where we opened up for him. And then my old manager works for Shady Records. So I was around them a lot. I mean, I was with 50 Cent, I want to say a few weeks ago at the Power premiere party. You know, I'm also in the nightlife business as well. And we had booked him and his, you know, his whole little cast to do their party for the thing. And, you know, we spoke about things from the past. I mean, he's definitely not the same 50 today that he was 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has evolved. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was definitely a lot more aggressive and more, I don't want to say like egotistical. He's kind of always like feeling himself, but he was definitely more like he could be more of a dick back then. Like if he didn't know you, he didn't fuck with you, like you might get a weird attitude out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, who is this guy type of shit. But in all of his business dealings, from what I can see and how we interacted a few weeks ago, it's like night and day. You know what I'm saying? Like he's really more calm and collective now. You know, I tried to give him a pound. He shook my hand. I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So it went from this to good to see you. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it is what it is. But, you know, in the shows, like he was always like a down-to-earth guy, though. You know what I'm saying? Like he was never afraid to talk to people or be with the people. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely always had that confidence, but knew, you know, being one with everyone and is important. You know what I'm saying? When you lose that sense of reality where you can't be around people and shit like a Kanye West, you know, they got you hidden in the Wyoming, you're all fucking outcasted doing weird shit. Look what happens. You know what I'm saying? You ostracize yourself and your fucking world gets, you know, thrown upside down. You know what I'm saying? And I think 50 handled success and fame a lot better than most people and learned how to turn everything that he was learning on the go into better business on the fly. You know what I'm saying? He's a fucking genius, that guy.
I think the one thing he does better than anyone else is he leans into any controversy or anyone making fun of him. He like leans into it. Like he doesn't fight it. You know, all those memes that were coming out about him being fat and he loved it. He was posting and it's like, that's how you do it. You don't fight it. You don't tell people you're annoyed. You go, this is funny, and people respect you for it, and they have fun.
And then they take a shot back at him, you know what I'm saying? Which he does very well, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah, I mean, you got to have thick skin in this game, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop, you know, motherfuckers will diss you for anything, you know what I'm saying? The rap beefs are every few days, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was looking at the indirects between, you know, the Slaughterhouse guys this week. And I'm like, damn, bro, like, you know, I've been around all of them. They're all cool guys. You know what I'm saying? I respect all of them. And it's sad when these type of things happen because, you know, sides are chosen and it makes things weird and whatever. And then there's subliminals and all this shit. It's like, damn, you know, and this happens all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of the nature of hip hop is to be combative. You know what I'm saying? Go at each other. So, you know, you gotta have thick skin in this game, man. You know, and if you can't handle people talking about you, this shit ain't for you. You know what I mean?
Well, what's your take on it? because, you know, I'm a fan of Slaughterhouse. I've been a fan since they dropped their first album. You know, Royce was always my guy personally, but then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, oh shit, I really like Crooked and I really like Joel, and then I really like Joe Budden, and it's like, so because I found Royce through Eminem, and it was like that's my pathway into finding them. But then and now I listen to Crooked Eye and or King Crooked. He goes by both, but and I listen to all those guys.
Crooked is definitely like, you know, a super assault wordsmith beast monster. But Royce, like you said, is definitely special. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first heard Royce over the Primo joint, leave me in the deck too long, I'll blow up your box. Boom! I was like, wow. And it's just like, I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. And, you know, it's one of those things, you know, I get it. Like I'm a part of a group as well, you know, and there's times when I know that we don't always see eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? We all think differently. We all have our own ways of doing shit, and I definitely think it's hard to be in a group sometimes, especially when there's money involved. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they were already kind of at a level, and then for whatever happened internally, you know, there was a rupture and a split. You know, and I think, you know, maybe some of the guys wanted to do some more music and some of them didn't, and how long do you go back and forth? It's like a tough one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where, you know, you just kind of got to accept it and, you know, like the album, listen to it if you fuck with it, you know what I'm saying? And don't if you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be cool if they got back together, you know what I'm saying? And did one last album or some shit, but, you know, I won't be mad if they don't, because I get it, you know what I'm saying? I understand shit don't always, you know, between brothers, you might love someone and can't really fuck with them like that, you know what I'm saying? So I get it, you know.
Well, I mean, Joe's retired from music anyway. He's doing his podcast thing, and that's really successful, and he's loving that. So, like, you know, there's no real value for him to
music, to be honest.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I think it brought him a little more success than the music, to be honest. The podcast thing really kind of like made him more of a household name than the bars, I believe. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I get it. Why fuck up a good thing? You know what I'm saying? You're making money, you're lit, you're doing good. I don't know. It's tough, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, if your brother's like, yo, come on, bro, let's do this song. Is it that hard to just, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just tough, you know. Personal shit.
I don't feel like Royce wants to do it either. It just feels like they don't, like they're just doing their own thing because they're their own recognized names. You know, they are really big. They've got their own brands that like they're now going. And I think that's what the problem is, that when you get to that level, when you're all really successful, you start thinking about number one, not the crew as a collective. And so your solo album becomes a priority as opposed to the group album.
Yeah. And even doing his P-Rhyme thing and things of that nature, you know, like everybody evolves, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes people grow apart. You're right. And for them, it might have been a good era, and that era might be over. You know what I'm saying? Like forever. You know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Have you heard the album? What do you think of it?
Yeah, I did listen to it. I mean, I'm surprised they talk about the things that they talk about so publicly. Like, I didn't expect them to be like, you know, this is what it was like backstage. This is what people are saying. These are the people who we blame. Like, and I was just like, oh, this is the surprise to me. Like, I like that they did it because as a fan, I'm like, it's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
What I'm not a huge fan of is like everyone getting on IG Live and talking it out. Like, what I would love to hear personally is like if Royce came back with the track. That's what I would love. It's probably not the best for their friendship. So I get that. It's probably not best for like them personally. But as a fan,
he might. You see, he's been irked a little that he felt the need to post that shit about the billboard. He didn't have to do that. His feelings are still in it. So, you know, you poke the bear too much, that motherfucker might go off. I mean, he's a beast, you know what I'm saying? Like, he raps on like another plateau, you know what I'm saying? Like, the average, you know, I don't even think the average person could really comprehend the type of things that he's literally putting together with words, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. It seems that between him and Joe, he'd likely respond before Joe would, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, I mean, Joe would speak on the podcast. I think he's already spoken on the podcast on it, but like
the whole funny thing. Yeah.
As in, yeah, I think I don't know. I don't think Royce will say anything. It doesn't feel like he will. Like I don't know. Maybe he will. It just doesn't feel like that. He's not. He hasn't been super like combative when it comes to his tracks recently. Like he's just focused on his own music.
He kind of alluded to the fact that he still loves them, but whatever these issues are over here, it's too much to want to fix. So it's like whatever. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
And personally, Royce, my favorite Royce album, well, one of my favorites was Bad Meets Evil, where it goes head to head with Eminem. And in my opinion, I think he wins the album. Like he is so good on that. It's amazing.
I would agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm working around Shady Records for many years. I definitely studied him more, listened to things more probably than the average person, seen some really great shows and shit. But Royce definitely, you can hear and feel that they started together, that there's a real synchronicity within them and how they do their thing from where they're from. But I definitely agree. I definitely think that Royce's bars, I think maybe it might be his voice tone. It's more digestible. So in some ways, he gets the better of him, in my opinion, on that album as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, not taking away from Eminem. Eminem's a fucking beast. We all know this. I don't want people to go crazy on Twitter, start tweeting me all crazy. But, Royce is not to be fucked with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I always say just listen to the album. Literally go track by track and tell me who wins each track. And I think Royce wins more tracks than M does. And I think
Stan's fucking crazy. They don't want to hear that shit.
Oh well, yeah. It is what it is. You can't be on top forever. You can't win everything, but it's good. It just shows that there are some other talented guys out there. There are other talented artists that are really competing, and Royce is definitely one of them. And then as Royce is one of them, then you look at King Crooked, and King Crooked is one of them, and so on and so forth. And that it goes back to finding artists that you like. This is how you do it: is you're like legitimately like this person is really good. They work with this person and this person and this person and this person. Same with like the Wu Tang crew. You can find so many artists because of who they've worked with.
I mean, I still am a real nostalgic person, so I'd say 50% of the time when I'm listening to music, it's from that golden era because it's just, to me, it's just unmatched in quality and sound. And I came up under Wu Tang. I was in the studio with Buddha Monk and fucking Dirty before he passed, making beats on a Triton with RZA drum kits when I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Like my friend used to date Buddha Monk's sister, and Buddha Monk was one of the Brooklyn Zoo. You know what I'm saying? So I was around them real early in the Kingston Lounge and fucking Crown Heights, and I was like a young guy who saw a lot of things but close. You know what I'm saying? So even Sean P, rest in peace, Ruck. You know what I'm saying? I know his birthday was the other day, 50th birthday. I used to be in the studio with my longtime friend, producer named A-Dub. And back when Ruck was, first starting, you know what I'm saying? I used to be around these guys like in the time when like hip hop was really like turning into something worldly powerful, you know what I'm saying? And just to have watched these guys, and I rapped back then, you know what I'm saying? But when you were in the room back then with people that were already, a lot of times you were just a fly on the wall because you were lucky to even be in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a different time. Like there wasn't that many studios like that. There wasn't that many outlets. Like if you were lucky to be in some of these rooms, it was like a real blessing. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, I find myself always going back and fucking with the sounds that I grew up listening to. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like when I hear something new, I usually hear it on satellite radio. I like to listen to satellite radio and go back and forth to the channels between Shade 45, Hip Hop Nation, or the LL Cool J, and listen for new things because I like hearing new cool stuff. I just think that hip hop got to a place, whether it's trap, drill, or underground, like where everything has so much repetitiveness within its little subgenre that everything sounds the same right now. Like dudes are not really focused on being extremely unique and original. They're
Man, yeah, I think your audio cut out.
You hear me?
It cut out. I think there's a little lag with the internet.
Okay. Make sure my Wi-Fi is on. Yeah, my Wi-Fi is good. I got 4 bars. But yeah, man, you know. So what's the hip hop scene in Australia these days right now?
It's actually getting bigger. It's one of these things. So like, I've loved hip hop since 2003. 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying was the first album I ever heard in my life. And I was 9 years old. Yeah, fucking amazing album. So, but I was 9 at that time. So 9 years old. So I grew up in an era where hip hop wasn't big in Australia. I grew up in an era where at school, every single kid was like, what the fuck is this? They want to listen to like their indie stuff and they want to listen to, I don't know, I didn't pay attention to it. I had my own kind of music. So growing up, all I did was listen to like US music, and all I did was listen to Golden Age, and I listened to Big Pun, and I listened to, you know, all these artists. And I had a couple of friends who were into hip hop, and they would be like, hey, listen to this. And it was like Game, Eminem, 50 Cent, Royce. And then you're starting to build the catalog of what you're listening to. But I never got into Aussie hip hop, and now we're seeing the success rise in Aussie artists. So for me, it's like a job to get back into the sound, because they all sound like me, and I'm like, I don't really want to listen to myself. Like, I don't want to listen. The Aussie accent isn't like the thing for me, because it doesn't, like, I'm not used to, it's not cool. Like the griminess.
So you don't like UK rappers either then?
I actually like UK rappers. I like what they, I don't know. There's something about, again, it's different to me. So like I listened to grime before I listened to Aussie hip hop. So like I was shown it, and I'm like, the beats are different. Like they use like EDM kind of inspired beats. But if you put, but if you put grime artists on classic hip hop beats, they would be fire. And so I can recognize that. I'm still working on getting the Aussie sound, because I'm like, I still hear the accent first, and there are still tracks that I like I interviewed Johnny P, he's really good, but like it's just a work in progress for me. But the culture itself is starting to blow up. You're starting to see people go overseas, you're starting to see people book shows, like Chillin' It is doing it as well. And we just, like, I see all over the internet that Aussie hip hop is blowing up, but it's like still a work in progress for me personally.
Well, that's good, man. Hey, maybe you should consider opening your own label one day, man, and helping to curate the future artists of Aussie that, you know, align with your way of seeing things. You know what I'm saying? You definitely know your hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely respect people that really like understand what this shit is about, how it started, where it went, where is it going, knows all genres, different things. You know,
oh man, you just cut out.
yeah?
Sorry, yeah, you just cut out for a sec.
Hold on, I don't hear you there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Classic internet, really.
Does this ever happen from New York to?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, damn, Wi-Fi. I'm gonna call the cable company right now. Like,
do you know what? Sometimes I use the mobile data on my phone rather than the Wi-Fi, and it works better. I don't know. It is what it is.
I mean, can I turn off the Wi-Fi on the computer mid-interview? I don't know that'll fuck it up.
Go for it. It won't cut out for me. You'll cut out, but then you can just come right back in.
Okay, let's see. Turn Wi-Fi off.
This is what happens when you do interviews live. Internet, you see, the edited version doesn't really show much of this stuff, but like you know, you do this live, and you're bound to have internet issues. But Dax Mpire, there we go.
I gotta have the on. Yeah. All right, we tried.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, as for starting to label myself, I see the thing is, I don't know. I still think I got a lot to learn when it comes to like, I know a lot, but I also know that I don't know a lot. Does that make sense? Like, I know there's so much.
Have you been to a studio before with people recording music? None of that. Wow.
Because what it is, I'm not like a musical person. Like, I think I got an ear for things that I like and things that I think make sense. And like, I'm starting to pick up like different contrasts, but like, I'm not friends with any artists who are like, hey, come in and let me know what you think. I'd never say no to that if someone was like, hey, come in. But it's not the scene that I'm in. It's just like, I'm just a huge fan. If anyone was like, come in, I'd be like, hell yeah. Like, are you sure you want someone who knows nothing to come in with you? But I would love to do something like that. You know, I got to say, I have done this before. I've done interviews with people in cars and shit. I've done with people in interviews literally driving on the road. So it cuts in and out while they're driving because like they go under a bridge or some shit like that. Like, I've done it all.
Bro, you know what? Did you hear me before? I respect you. One of the main reasons why I did the podcast was because, you know, I see how seriously you take your craft. There we go.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, that's even way crispier too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
So I've had enough of these interviews fuck up enough times to be like, I kind of know there's a couple things we can do, but you know, we're back. And just when you were about to compliment me, you know, my ego was about to get a good hit.
I'll do it for the third time. Just because I want the people to know. The reality is that you actually bring something really positive and dope to hip hop culture. And that's what the game will always need. People that care about the music, care about the artistry, want to like learn and you know, give that information out to people, and you do it in a good, very professional way. So, you know, people like me, when they see people like you that take their shit serious, I like working with people like that. I like working with people that give a fuck about what it is they're putting out into the world. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, definitely pat yourself on the back because, you know, from shit, what is this, 10,000 miles away or some shit, you know, you have my respect. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know you personally, but just of what I was able to scan and look at and check out and listen to, I was like, okay, this guy's for real. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you on the right track, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going because you're definitely close.
I appreciate it. And to be honest, there's, you know, and for everyone who, you know, I'm sure you've had the same thing, Dax, is like, you know, there are days where you're like, oh, what's the point? There are days where it's like,
all the time, bro.
This is a grind, and you see other people doing well, and like in my head, like I'm competitive, so like it's my own head is going like, I see other people doing well, and it's like I want to do better, and so like it's just like, so even this week I had that thought is like, and I'll know I never quit, but I also know that I could. There's like this weird kind of feeling, but I appreciate, you know, and for me personally, people have asked like, would you ever like try and, you know, test your guests? Would you ever like, you know, try and pick them out? And I'm like, but I actually like the people I speak to. Like, why would I want to try and fuck them over? Like, there's no point for me to do that because I want to talk to them. Like, I'm not one of these shock jocks on the radio who's like trying to get, you know, trying to trick you into saying something you don't want to say. Like,
to make you say sensational stuff or to go viral.
Fuck that. I want you to want to come back, and I want you to be like, you know, he did a good job. That's what I want. I know there's longevity in that, but if you see that,
absolutely. And you know, when you building with people from the ground up, you know, you never know which one of the artists that you have interviewed that, you know, right here, right under the surface of mainstream success, and boom, they break through, and all of a sudden they're like, yo, I remember you supporting me back when I was on the come up. I'm gonna give you that big interview now. I'm gonna give you that exclusive record to play. Because it be like that, you know what I'm saying? There are some good people in the world that don't forget the people that were there for them, you know what I'm saying, when they were in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? Because the success is definitely like hard to attain in the music business. So whoever, don't believe the hype. You know what I'm saying? Guys will have a whole lot of look and be broke as hell. You know what I'm saying? So, you definitely doing your part though in the right way. So, you know what I'm saying? And much respect to you. You know what I'm saying? For sure. If you ever come to New York, bro, I got you 100%.
Well, same if you come down here, we can do this in person. But I was going to say, hopefully you're one of the ones that really rise through. I mean, I realistically know that, and I think part of it is like, I do what I do because it's like, I want you to see that not everyone is going to be successful in the way that Drake is successful, or Nicki Minaj, or, Megan Thee Stallion is successful. That is success. Right. But what you will see is the true grind of every artist and the true attitude. And, I'm sure there are people that listen to some of my interviews and they go, "No, you're not going to make it." Yeah. Because they can tell the difference between true love. And there are people that I know are not going to make it because I'm like, I can see that you're doing this for the cash, not because you like what you do. And there is a real difference in the type of interview that happens.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. 100%.
Well, I mean, how do you get through those days you want to quit? Because you've done cool shit, but
you really just said a lot right there. I was just thinking about how I wanted to respond, but success, right? Success is really relative. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're basing your success on, oh my God, I have to go, 10 billion on YouTube and go diamond, and I have to have $50 million mansion in Canada. All right. That's a superior wealth and other shit. But success could be way different to somebody. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, would I love to, be blessed with a fucking $1 trillion and be able to fucking walk on gold Nikes and piss weed and all this shit? Yeah, of course. But not for nothing, I did some cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, bucket list wise, just recording songs with Raekwon, Prodigy, and fucking DJ Paul from 3 6 Mafia, because 3 6 Mafia is one of my favorite groups. That for me was like a dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, and those are moments in my mind that no one can ever take away from me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm already one of those people that's so grateful. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was in prison before, you know what I'm saying? I came from having lost it all and having to figure out how to start from scratch and rebuild it. And that's when I actually started taking music serious. The first half of my life, I was in the street and I was rapping and I had deals on the table when I was young, but I didn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care about music. I mean, I loved it, but it wasn't enough to drive me back then. You know what I'm saying? I was in the wrong place mentally. You know what I'm saying? I had to grow up as a man and figure out, okay, that way of life is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? There's just no positive ending there. What do you really love? Well, you love music. Well, if you're really going to do this, you're going to have to take it seriously and actually move and think and be an artist. You know what I'm saying? Not just picking up a mic and rapping. There's a lot that goes into that. And I'm more of a writer. Like, I literally write. I was fortunate enough that John Gotti picked the song that I wrote and made it the title track for his movie that came out with John Travolta a few years ago. So, like, I take pride in that pen. You know what I'm saying? So through the hard days, you just have to know when you did it from the right place, it can never rain forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like there's that competitiveness and you see other motherfuckers doing good and you're like, damn, but I know I feel like I'm better than that guy, but he's getting all the credit and I'm like, whatever. If you live with that type of energy though and that type of spirit inside you, it just eats you up and makes you a negative, nasty person. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've never been a hater. You know what I'm saying? I definitely am someone that supports my friends. I support people I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm someone who believes that everybody deserves a shot and a chance. You know what I'm saying? And that I'm no one to judge. You know what I'm saying? So I don't do things that I don't want done to me. You know what I'm saying? So, I think I'm lucky though. I have children that I love very much, that I have always definitely been since their birth. My motivation to keep going, you know what I'm saying, and to keep finding new ways, you know what I'm saying. I got some really special projects coming with some really, really special artists joining me on these projects. I've been quiet, kind of like relaxing for the last few months, preparing some of this stuff. But, you know, I got some big things coming, you know what I'm saying? And behind them, some big plans, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, there's no right way to do the wrong thing. So sometimes I think, you know, having patience in this game is important too. If you're not patient and you think that things are just going to happen overnight, sometimes, like, or most of the time, you're just delusional. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do they say? The overnight celebrity was like 10, 15 years or some shit. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
10 years to be overnight success. I love that saying.
Yeah, you got to grind. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I literally just look to my children and the fact that I know I accomplished so much that even though some days are fucking fucked up and hard as hell, I know things can be done and it's never over. You know what I'm saying? Like today, I'll give you the perfect example. I have a paralegal degree. I have aspirations of maybe one day going to law school, having my record expunged, and maybe practicing law one day and helping guys that are in trouble that don't have the money and could need some assistance. You know what I'm saying? And I had a lawsuit going on, and I decided to fire the lawyer and represent myself and go pro se for shits and giggles. I felt like I knew the law enough. I've studied the law. I know courtroom procedure. I said the worst that could happen is I lose. I was already prepared to lose. You know what I'm saying? And I went in there today and I kicked ass. And I actually made an application that was granted by the judge. And the opposing counsel, the plaintiff, wasn't against it. So it was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it was just more proof to me that, like, literally, you can moonlight as a fucking lawyer, podcaster, car driver, rap. You know, there's no limit to what you can do in life when you put your mind to it and you believe in yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, patience, confidence, these are all the ingredients to get through the dark days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, you know, and I always think about it, you know, when that saying is one of my favorites, because it's like, for me, I can like see the goals. If I dropped one podcast every week for 10 years, that's 500 episodes in a row. That's not dropping. So we ain't even close to 500. So like in that, I'm like, we're not there yet. It's not that 10-year mark. And I think, you know, for me personally, like I have those checkers like, okay, yeah, you've been doing this for a while, but it ain't 10 years yet. You got to be patient. And part of it is also like, and a big thing that changed for me was like, you should want people around you to be successful because you're automatically going to be more successful. So those feelings of like competitiveness or envy, those are human feelings and they're okay, but like you need to support the people around you because you're only going to benefit from that. And then they're going to see you supporting them. Like, don't be the hater. It's the worst. Like, there are so many people who are just jealous of their friend's success and they shoot themselves in the foot because why would you hate when your friends do well? Like, you want your friends to do well.
It really just says that they're really not your friends. Like that, my mom always used to tell me when I was in her, she would size people up quick. And 95% of the time she was right. She would say, that guy's not your friend. He's jealous of you, I'm telling you. And I'd be like, you don't know, he's a good guy. Lo and behold, she was right. And I mean in the worst way. Like she ended up like calling out some people that did things to me that really affected my life in a bad way. And that if I would have listened to her early on, I might have been able to nip that in the bud and it never would have happened. But, you know, I always was the type of person that gave people the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, I wanted to look out for people and be a good guy. And a lot of times the good guy gets fucked. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, crazy, man.
I think listen to your parents. In a weird way, like sometimes your parents really know what they're talking about. They've been around. You know, they've experienced people. They know there's like a gut instinct. And I think we try to trick ourselves out of our gut instinct to give the people the benefit of the doubt. But I'm sure you felt that like instinctually there's something about them that's off. But you wanted to give them the chance, you know?
I definitely, maybe not in the moment. Maybe I'll say that I noticed things that maybe take a quick little look, but nothing like that. But in retrospect, there was a lot of red flags. You know what I'm saying? When I really like took a serious look at things, I was turning a blind eye to a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you definitely should go with your gut. You know, even if it's an inkling, that little inkling is probably being held back by a lot, but trying to break through. So yeah, you know, definitely go with your intuition. You know what I'm saying? After those certain points in my life, and I really started to listen to my gut, a lot of things changed. And I actually avoided a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like when I started to really listen to what the universe was telling me, I got smarter, 100%.
Well, it's weird that like your gut instinct is like it's nature. That's your body's way of going, hey, this something's not right.
Yeah.
And we've all been there where like before shit goes down, your gut or your body is like, you got to get the fuck out of wherever this is. And then you don't listen. And then 2 minutes later, shit goes down. You're like, I'm an idiot. I had the warning sign. I should have left.
Yeah. It's that internal reaction, fight or flight, adrenaline kicking. You know what I'm saying? Where you like, you know what I'm saying? And you're right. There's definitely you end up learning the lesson the hard way a lot of times when you don't trust your gut. You know what I'm saying? So,
well,
but yeah, man.
Interesting that you want to follow a law path. I actually did a law degree when I was at uni. So, and I did the opposite. I decided, nah, fuck that. It's not for me. But you know, it is super interesting and it's super challenging, honestly. Like, you know, respect to anyone who goes down that path.
Yeah. I mean, even right now in my free time, I volunteer for a non-for-profit agency called the Remedy Project. And the Remedy Project is a agency that basically trains. We work in conjunction with Columbia University, which is an Ivy League school. And we basically train the students, right, to file grievances on behalf of incarcerated individuals that are having institutional remedy problems. So, you know, a guy might be, you know, not educated. He didn't learn how to read and write, or maybe there's like a language issue and they don't know how to do the paperwork to get their law work sent in correctly. We help these students file these grievances because it's a lot harder for the system to attack college students than it is for them to attack, you know, wannabe lawyers or law firms and shit like that. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's different because I was on the side of, you know, systemic injustice. I understand how flawed this American prison system and this court system is. And I know that since I know it from the inside out, I could actually really help people. You know what I'm saying? Like I want an appeal. I've definitely done some stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, in the spare time that I have in life, I think a lot of people just waste their time. Like if I can afford to go to school a couple, you know, nights a week or during the day when I'm free to empower myself and further my education and knowledge, because knowledge is power, then I should do that. I think most people should do that. I still read books. None of my friends that I know like that read books like that. I'm a big book reader. You know what I'm saying? I get that from my father. But, you know, like I always felt that, you know, and you brought up pun before, big pun had said it. It's not who's the livest, it's who's the wisest. You know what I'm saying? The smart guy is a badass dude, man. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely I love law for that. I feel like you can correct some of the wrongs if you know how to apply it properly. So for me, that intrigues me.
And what I liked about it is that it's gray. It's all gray area. And like what you really are taught in law school is not the law, but a different way of thinking. How to read things and be like, okay, how do I make this work for me? How do I interpret this in a way that makes sense? Or like, that's what it is. So like at uni, well, I didn't learn the skills of like, oh, now I'm going to be a good lawyer, or now I'm going to be good. What they teach you is how to think about it. And that's what I learned the most is like, all right, think at a different level. If you're going to make your argument, you got to come up with something interesting. You got to come up with a way that they never thought before.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because I literally watched numerous cases that were called before mine. I didn't have to because I knew what time they were going to call me. But I find it interesting. And then I actually learned things by watching the cases that I was able to implement today. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, at the end of the day, I think I'm kind of just someone who is a junkie for information. And I always found it, even like with women, you know what I'm saying? I always liked a smart woman. You know what I'm saying? I could never have been with some chick who was just hot. That doesn't do it for me. Like, if we can't have a conversation about something and I don't really fuck with you mentally, there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely at an age where, you know, just having sex casually, that you know, that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? We're looking for deeper, meaning relationships and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
I
bro.
actually agree with you. I mean, my family is always like, you know, obviously, you know, sleeping with a girl is different to, you know, dating someone seriously. But I always know for me to date someone seriously, I need to be able to talk to you about anything all the time. Because, like, I just want to talk. I want to wake up. I want to talk. When we're having breakfast, we're talking. When we're going for a walk, whatever. Like, we're always talking. But if I feel that it's a struggle, that I have to search for the next conversation, I'm like, this is not going to work. Imagine doing this for 20 years. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's like a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, imagine like you meet a girl, oh, she's like got a lot of great qualities, she's fine as hell, but she don't fucking like hip hop. And she doesn't understand your passion for, you know, being in like a reporter, you know what I'm saying? Like, and for, you know, like really delving into this culture. How the fuck would that work? You know what I'm saying? Because you love this shit. I see it in your face. You got hip hop in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why, like, you know, those type of connections from the soul are extremely important. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm someone that definitely believes that you can pass bad energy. I definitely feel like in my life, I have dealt with the wrong females at times, and that there was negative energy that was trying to like latch on to me. And if I would have kept diving in this pool, that energy was gonna engulf me. You know what I'm saying? And like the minute like I stopped fucking with the energy, my life became better. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you definitely gotta be careful who you deal with in life.
It is funny that you say that, like, you know, they have to be into hip hop, because, like, for me, it's like you may not have to be into it, but you gotta be okay with me talking about it all the time, playing the music all the time, and I don't care if it's you don't love it, but like,
Okay,
you know
that's
that
fair.
I do, so you got to support that. Like, part of
You
what I
respect.
do involves me listening to it. It involves me talking about it, and I talk to you. Like, I talk to people around me about it because it helps me understand it better. That's for
Yeah,
me, it's like a learning tool. So it's like, if you tell me something and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm going to retell that story so that it sticks with me. And I'm like, okay, that's a piece of knowledge that I have. And then I'm going to listen to music, and I'm going to try show you music so that I can try explain it to you, because it helps me understand what I'm listening to even more. Like, the other day, me and my brother, he's never listened to Capital Punishment by Big Pun, and I've been talking about it for years. So we
you
listened to
listen
it.
to hip hop at all ever?
He does.
Okay,
He's more into modern hip hop, and then I've been
okay.
talking about him being like, go back, and he started to go back and
Is
appreciate.
he older or younger?
He's younger than me, but
Okay, got it.
yeah. So he's 23 right now.
Okay.
So I've been like, you know, trying to get him into it. And then I was like, you know what? He was like, do you want to listen to an album together? And we listened to Big Pun, Capital Punishment. And I was like, and he finally understands why I'm like, there's no one else better. I don't see how you can see that there's, honestly, like, there's no one that can, if head to head, could anyone beat Pun at his best? And I think the answer is no.
I mean, he definitely, I think, is one of the legends that doesn't get enough credit. And a lot, and a lot of times people say it's because he's Puerto Rican, Spanish, like that the Spanish guys don't get enough respect, like the rest of the guys. That's like a whole other inside industry thing that I've heard. So, you know, it's possible, you know what I'm saying? But he definitely is top, to me, top 5, and I don't put any of them in order. So it's like he's in there with Big L, Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas. I'm like, he's with those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like he is crazy. He had the least amount of music. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if he would have had the opportunity to keep going, like him and Biggie both. You know what I'm saying? Like so much music would have just went so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, Pun was special. That album was definitely a one of one hip hop classic. 5 mics. Period. Tres Leches is one of my favorite songs of all time. I love that beat.
Well, every track is a killer. You know, Boomerang, Beware, Twins. His verse on Twins is one that I've memorized just so I can be like.
Even both versions of Still Not a Player are dope. The more commercial one and the original. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not a player, and he spits some disgusting shit, but at the same time he spits like wise shit at the same time. Like, that's what it is. It's like, listen to the flow, but listen to what he's actually saying.
And he was someone that made being lyrical cool. A lot of times if you're too lyrical, you're the backpack rapper, or you're this, that. Nah, you just nice, bro. Like, the guy's just nice. And he was able to teeter that line of like gangster, thuggish, poppy, chulo, mainstream dude, big guy with the hot chick on his lap, / lyrical fucking annihilator, Terminator motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like
he'll beat you lyrically, physically, hypothetically, realistically. Like that. I heard that for the first time. I was like, that is sick. Like,
that's like,
no one else said that.
That's one of the best lines in hip hop ever. That line that you just said is crazy. That right there is that Biggie saying anyone, Tyson, Jordan, Jackson. Like, those type of lines are like, damn, who could think of that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I think is so cool about hip hop too. It makes your imagination, like, you gotta like visualize some of this shit, see it in your head. And I got a real vivid imagination. So like claymation figures act the whole shit out. I can see it like, you know, real live. So hell yeah, Capital Punishment, man.
But I think the reason he doesn't get the props that he does is because his later projects, his health really affected his legacy. So you can hear, and I showed my brother, and I was like, you can hear the difference in his voice. It's labored. It's in Capital Punishment. It's smooth. It's coming out. You know, he's a big guy in Capital Punishment, but the voice, it really loses something after that.
Yeah, there was a lot more pausing in the deliveries as well, and you can hear the breath control. You're right. You studied it. You're right. You're right.
But yeah, nah. And Big L is one of those guys who I'm like, you know, listen to what he was doing. But this is because I agree with you. I think the golden era of hip hop, quote unquote golden era, I think, you know, there are artists in different eras, and I think you should probably split eras because it's just completely different. You can't compare, you know, 90s to 2020. It's a different sound, different technique. It's like a different genre.
I was the guy that, right, even though I was born and raised in New York City, you know what I'm saying? Literally, like, if I pull this down, you can see the Brooklyn Bridge right here, but the glare will blind you. But I also, my mother, I'm half Puerto Rican from here, but my mother is Mexican from Texas. So I would go back and forth from New York to Texas yearly since I was a child. You know what I'm saying? So when I first heard the Ghetto Boys, I fell in love with the Ghetto Boys just as much as I was in love with Wu Tang the first time, because I was there in that environment. And when you're in these environments and you're feeling their way of telling the story, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I first heard Master P, I'm About It, I'm like, yo, this song is crazy. This shit is next level gangster. This beat, who does, like, what is this? I understood it, just like 3 6 Mafia. To me, you know, the greatest groups, Mobb Deep, Wu Tang, Gangstar, thing, and then 3 6 Mafia, because 3 6 Mafia literally invented the trap sound that every single artist uses now. Whether they're from Atlanta, they're from fucking Tennessee, Texas, every repetitive hi-hat, the snare, the way they layered their drums, everything was a pattern and a copy of 3 6 Mafia. They were dropping music in 90. You know what I'm saying? Like, they invented slang, like, and you know, and people often forget that there's a lot of greats everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously we're talking, you know, top 5 rappers. You know, we're speaking of a certain lyrical content, but we're talking about greatest artists and albums. Like, I have Doggy Style in my top 5 of greatest albums of all time. Snoop to me is one of the greatest artists of all time, period. That's why he's, like, to me, the most well-received rapper, even though he was a gangster, guy, court cases, Crip, all this stuff. but he embodied so much more. You know what I'm saying? His voice, his tone, his demeanor, his look, everything. Like he had all the elements of what it is to be a fucking groundbreaking master of what he does. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I'm definitely someone that values the talent from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So
well, it's like Ice Cube to me. You know, if I look at Ice Cube,
rap God, bro.
Like lyrically one of the best, but also
Absolutely.
he made his transition into mainstream fame and
Absolutely.
one of the first rappers to be able to do that. Like, and he did some dog shit movies. Like, let's be real. He did some trash kids movies, but like, think about it. He's a guy who rapped the most violent shit. And then he does kids movies. And now,
after them, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and now rappers are like, I can do that.
Yeah, yeah. I know he definitely, Ice Cube is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, you know, his music definitely timeless. I mean, even all the shit that he wrote for Eazy-E, you know what I'm saying? And Dr. Dre back then, like the guy was a super talent. And even though, you know, half of the movies were not great, and I definitely was not a fan, I get like 50 and Jay and Puff and all these guys as they're evolving, he was figuring out his way. You know what I'm saying? He definitely made Friday. He made some good cult classics. He got a fucking basketball league now. Like, bro, he's badass, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
like,
21 Jump Street was funny, and 22 Jump Street, they were funny. Like, but you know, he just showed you can make your way out. You don't have to be only an artist. And I gotta say, hip hop is the genre that showed that you don't just have to be a musician. And I gotta say, it's a mindset of like, you know, originally street dudes who are not going to stick and not going to be like, you can put me in a box, but I'm not going to do it. And that's why Jay-Z is so good. That's why, you know, Dre is so good, is like they found their way out and then they're like, nah, fuck this. I can do more. And so they do more. And so, and I think, you know, when we go back to Joe Budden, he figured out like music was his way. And then he's like, you know what, I'm going to transition again and I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to be my own person. So that's why I love hip hop. It's more than like just music. It's a culture. It's a mindset. And like not living there, I can look in on it. Like I don't come from the culture. My parents never listened to it, but like there's something about the mindset and the grind and the never give up that is really cool to me.
It's universal. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop pulls on the heartstrings of the warrior, the survival, the struggler, the have-nots, the dreamers, whole fucking range of billions of people, really, when you think about it. And you're right. It gives you, it's that outlet like, hey, you know, there's not only another way, there's a few ways. This is just a conduit maybe for you to explore all these other avenues, you know what I'm saying? But definitely to me, I definitely remember, I think it was around the time when you heard the 50 album, around 2003, around that time when I started to see just how powerful that shit really had become. Like, it really changed the world, to be honest, the way I see it. Like, hip-hop music changed the world. Like, it became the most biggest marketed fucking branding tool for, like, everything from fucking food. Look at the new song that this guy Pusha T did yesterday about Arby's. Yeah. You know what? He kind of killed it. You know what I'm saying? In a funny way, like he was being serious, like, but like, come on, bro, we're talking about meats and shit. Like, but bro, look at that shit. And imagine how much he got paid for that.
Well, yeah, Snoop Dogg gets paid for menu log. How much cash for those shitty menu log ads? But like, but what I like, I honestly believe there is a feeling that cannot be replicated by any genre other than hip hop. There is a hip hop track for every single mood, and there's a reason why it's always played before sports. It's always played on ads. It's played in movies. It's played because there is an undeniable. You're like, fuck yes, this is gangster shit. Like I can feel it in my bones. Like I guess.
So what did you think of the halftime performance for the Super Bowl?
I love that.
I loved it too.
I mean, I got nothing but love for shit like that. Like, you know, to have Dre, Snoop Dogg, Crip walking. You know, everyone was like kind of annoyed at Eminem. All right, whatever. I don't really care. I just loved that it was a hip hop spectacle in LA. You know, like 50 Cent dropping down like he's into
like fat in a cave. I definitely saw that shit, and I'm like, damn, we came a long fucking way, bro. Because it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It was beautiful. And it just showed, you know what I'm saying, that there's a lot more positivity than it often gets credit for, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the struggle is hard, and it started in, I think, a rough time in America based on the crack epidemic and shit like that, because all those things coincide together because of where hip-hop came from in the inner city and where they were dropping these drugs off. So, you know, it's deep, man. You know what I'm saying? It's deep. But look how powerful it is that you said, you know, you're not born of the culture, but the culture has embraced you. Like, you love it. You know what I'm saying? And here you are fucking all the way across the world, and you hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, welcome home, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're hip hop. You know?
It's the best. I always say, like, you know, if you don't listen to it, you're missing out, because to be honest, it is just, it's never going to die, because it is too big and it influences too much. And the artistry in itself requires more than people give respect, because they're like, oh, you're just taking someone else's sound and you're creating a beat from somebody else's sound. You're not singing, you're just talking. It's like,
oh yeah, well, yeah.
And I hear that all. I'm like, you try, honestly, try to write
your bars.
Yeah, write your bars. But also, I'm like, but what you don't understand is you got to find the pockets. You can't just, it's not like you and I are just talking here and you put a beat on it and it sounds good.
You have to feel it. Like, the delivery has to be real. Like, it has to have a cadence. There's like, I mean, you know, there's like frequencies that a human can hit when you're in a certain zone, like that make that are pleasant to the ear. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot to it. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely more complex than people believe. Even production, sampling is in itself an art, and extremely complicated to truncate and really extract something and really piece together or chop up something and create something new out of it. Like, what, man? That shit is hard as hell. Especially back in the day when the first MPCs only had like 8 seconds of sample time. That's nothing. Now, because of Pro Tools and computers, it's unlimited. So, you know, but it used to be extremely complex. You know what I'm saying? You know, the hip hop definitely, and I love a lot of music. I love some rock. I love some jazz. I love some of my parents' Spanish stuff. I like some country shit. There's some music in all genres that I can fuck with. But you said it. There's just nothing that creates a feeling in you like hip hop, man. Like when I hear "Dear Mama," depending on where I'm at, I might drop a tear for the love that I have for my mom and our turbulent relationship when I was younger. That song it hits me in a way, and it always has. You know, 20-something years fucking later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love my mom. I was an only child. My father ended up having kids later on, but my mom, no, that was it. So it was me and her. And through even the hard times, at the end of the day, I always appreciated her. And there's no way I could pay her back, but the plan is to show her that I understand. So it's like, you know, the hip hop really, you know, it just finds its way into your life so much and so deep that it's different, man. It's fucking different.
Yeah. And honestly, there is a song for every mood, you know, and, you know, people talk about, especially a few old school artists talk about, you know, new school and they're like, they don't say the same thing lyrically, but I'm like, you still got to listen to it artistically, because I look at someone like Young Thug and I'm like, okay, he doesn't spit the same bars, but like, listen to what he's doing with his voice. Listen to the interesting things, you know, Travis Scott, same thing. He's got such a good ear for a sound. He has such a unique sound. And then
they're using their voices as instruments. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I get it. Young Thug is the perfect example. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that. I've studied a lot about him. I've seen a lot of interviews on him. I think the Vice interviews were good on Noisy when they showed him and how he was and whatever. But yeah, he definitely has a frequency that is of his own. And he's learned how to, you know, use auto-tune and Melodyne and all these other studio functions to kind of create his own sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, so whether you like it or not, it's different. And no one is doing what he does exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I respect anyone who creates. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not out here hating. Young Thug, my favorite artist, hardly. Do I think that, masculine rappers should be wearing dresses? No. That's my personal opinion. But do I think he's made some fucking hot records in the club that bang? Yes. Does my son like some of his music in this younger generation? Yes. Do I understand it? Yeah.
Yeah, and if it sounds good, it sounds good. Who gives a shit? I don't care what you wear as long as it sounds good. I don't care what you do. That's all I want is good music. Do whatever you want. I couldn't care less. You make good shit, make good shit. That's undeniable. So like, it's just that's always been my view, is like, I don't give a shit about your politics. I don't give a shit about, what you do. I don't give a shit about your orientation, your beliefs. All I want is sick tracks. If you give me sick tracks, I'm going to fuck with it no matter what. And, hey, that's just who I am.
You're the perfect hip hop rap connoisseur for sure. For sure.
Well, man, it's been, I'm all aware of taking up too much of your time. We were talking about, how much, but I feel like time flies. Whenever you talk about someone who's like into it, it's like you can talk about it forever. We'll just have to do this again. But obviously, Dax Mpire, got one more question for you. And it's going to be the hardest question. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to get an appreciation of, cannot be your own, can be any genre, what would it be?
That's interesting. Now, you said that's not my own, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because to be honest, if you asked me and it was like something you should listen to, I'd say the podcast. But so I was like, I know the artists too well. They want to plug their own shit. We'll plug your shit after, but like, I want this to be like a tough question.
Okay, put it like this. If I had to pick a song off an album, a project, right, by an artist, to put in a time capsule to represent, what I feel is a best representation of hip hop where I come from, or how I like it, I would probably have to put Nas Illmatic / New York State of Mind as a single into that time capsule. I think that album for me, even though he's not my favorite rap artist, I got him after Jay and Pac and Big and Pun and them. He's definitely, obviously, one of the greatest ever. But I think that album is arguably one of the greatest hip hop albums ever, if not the best. And I think that New York State of Mind, as a record itself, really takes you into the mind of a young, savage New York hip hop teenager in his ascension into wherever the hell he was going to go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I would say Nas Illmatic, and, the album starts off with New York State of Mind. So, yeah.
I'd to be disappointed with that album. That is one of the albums where there's no skippable track. Every track is absolute fire. But I actually saw a video the other day. I think it was like from 3 years ago, and I forget which radio station they were trying to find. I think the BBC in the UK tried to rate the best hip hop track of all time, and they had just the most iconic that represented everything. And I think they had Biggie's Juicy. And it's actually a hard question to find, which track is one, maybe one for the listeners to think on, but that was the one they had. I had ones like in my mind that came was like A Children's Story by Slick Rick is one of those because it influenced so many people.
Yeah.
You wouldn't place A Children's Story at like a wedding, but you'd play Juicy at a wedding. So like maybe it doesn't hit, and that's what they were talking about is like what's the most universal, but like yeah. No, man, as I said, Dax Mpire came through. I appreciate you coming through. Please make sure you check him out, show him some love.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, it was absolute pleasure. But yeah, when are your albums dropping? What have you got coming up next? Where can people find you?
I definitely got a special project coming out with my man, Mr. Slash. He's from Paris. We've got about 13 songs done right now, finishing up a couple more, but it's going to be an amazing project with some very, very, very well-respected artists that people really checking for now. Yeah, it's going to be very dope. I got some things coming out, man. So definitely stay tuned. My Spotify has everything. Apple Music, anywhere you go, it's there. You know what I'm saying? Check me out, Dax Mpire. The catalog is extensive, and you might find something that you like, man.
Make sure you check him out on IG. Throw him a follow. Show him some love. You know, anything that you got in terms of support, we always want to hear it. But yeah, as I said, absolute pleasure. I appreciate you coming through and talking about hip hop. We barely talked about you, man. Next time we'll have to talk about you a little bit more because we just got down hip hop route.
Absolutely. I definitely like being that artist, though, that, you know, the culture is bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes if we could just have a conversation about maybe just some of the things that I've been through, seen, and heard that necessarily don't have to do with me per se, I'm all for it, man. You know what I'm saying? So next time, maybe we'll do like an exclusive listening session and play some new records with some big features on there and give your listeners something exclusive to check out. You know what I'm saying? Let's stay in touch, and I'll talk to you soon for sure, bro.
Sure, that sounds like a great idea. Let me know when it's coming out. We can sort something out and give our listeners something.
Absolutely, man.